The next speaker is Javed Chaudry. As I mentioned earlier, in our Family of the Heart dialogues and debates, he has a very strong voice, a strong dialogue, and he does not leave, he continues, so I sort of appreciate going all the way to the people who may disagree with him. And I think that is partly what we are encouraging in our discussions. So I'll request Mr. Chaudry to share his views about it.
Thank you. One good news that I have for you is that my presentation is very, very short compared to all the other people. The reason being, today, as I understood, we were going to talk about the relevance of Quran without including anything else. For example, what is Islam? We are talking about the relevance of Quran in 21st century, excluding any other considerations such as does God exist? Did God ever exist? Or who is Muslim? And so forth. So I'll just come down to the real business of Quran. Quran basically, as probably most of you know, has 114 chapters, and it's organized in a way the larger chapters are in the front of the book and the smaller chapters are towards the end. The smaller chapters follow the larger chapters. One interesting thing in it, and that's why I'm going into that minor detail, is the very first chapter called Surah Fatah, or the opening chapter, is very short, and that's the only a difference we have, or exception we have. The exception is for a reason. That very first chapter, which has only 7 verses, that is a dialogue in a way one-sided from man to God. The rest of the book is from God to man. And for that reason, they had this exception. They put this short chapter in the first, in the beginning of the book. So that is a kind of wish, or dua, or something man is asking, and God is saying, okay, you asked me for something, and here is my answer. Here is the book for you. Go and follow. In order to establish whether Quran is relevant for 21st century, we have to ask ourselves a question: what is in it? What does it include? And does it include something which is time dependent, and the time is already passed, and we have to change that stuff with something else, bring something new? And if something new is needed to replace the old stuff, then what that new thing would be? And also, we will not, for now, today, we will not talk about who actually authored the book, because I think it is, again, a little bit out of the scope of the today's discussion, who authored the book. God wrote the book, or Prophet wrote the book. The Quran basically consists of brief religious and human history, short narrations of earlier prophets and their times. Also, there are some allegorical stories and parables to illustrate God's infinite wisdom and power. Most importantly, the Quran presents a code of ethics. It is this code of ethics that I would like to discuss about. Anything else, like a history, it was history 1400 years ago, it was history 500 years ago, it's history today. So let's talk about something which is not history, which is supposed to go on forever. And that is exactly what hopefully makes it relevant to 21st century. The code of ethics presented in Quran touches upon all facets of life, providing guidance and system of values which are essential today as they were any time in the past. On the basis of justice, fairness, equality, security, and human dignity for all, the Quran provides guidance for everyday life regarding the state affairs, justice, human rights, public security, the security of property, food, dress code, and family law. The code serves as the foundation and a cradle for basic human rights to create a just society. The followers, that is the followers of the Quran, can devise their own detailed rules as required in the light of the guidance and limits set forth by the Quran. Quran basically just sets the very basic guidance, very basic guidelines. And we can make our rules, whatever rules we want to make, as long as we keep everything in the light of those basic rules that the Quran has set forth. And of course, Quran is not a book of science. Quran is not a book of legal documents. Quran is basically a very basic, simple guideline. And if we cannot even follow that, that means we have real big problem the way Quran looks at things. The Quranic laws are broad and generic in nature, similar to a constitution of a country. Canada has a constitution, maybe it requires 40 pages, but then you go to lawyers' offices and they have thousands of pages talking about all kinds of legal intricacies, which keep changing all the time. But I don't believe Canada is going to change its basic constitution every day. That is just a very broad, very generic guideline to put the whole thing together, put the whole country together to run in a certain direction, and then people can keep on changing all the detailed rules. Quran mandates the basic ethical requirements which are essential today as they were in the past. The Quranic injunctions are mostly qualitative rather than quantitative. For example, Quran doesn't say, don't drive over 100 kilometer speed. It says, drive carefully, in a way, indirectly. Because if Quran had said, don't drive your car more than certain speed, then at any given time, things are changed. 100 kilometer may be nothing. 200 kilometer may be nothing. You will have to say the Quran is very outdated. So Quran doesn't go into quantities of things. It only stays in the qualitatively. The basic rules and the guidelines revealed in Quran make an essential foundation on which to build further laws and regulations according to the local, social, and economic needs for the society. Quran does not have all the detailed rules for us. We have to make them the way we want them and the way we go as we go in time. The man-made detailed laws can be revised as required as long as they are in line with the spirit of Quranic teachings. The Quranic doctrine represents basic human decency, civility, and a fundamental decorum to establish a civilized society. These virtues are required today just as they were at any time in the past. It is therefore hard to visualize that these basic traits of decency can be considered obsolete now or any time in the future. And if they are to be replaced with another set of rules, what would that be, and how would the immutability of the laws be ensured? What will be a good substitute for the basic justice, equality, and fairness? If we say that Quran is not relevant, okay, fine, we get rid of it. But what exactly would be that we are going to use to substitute? Why would the faithful swap the divine revelation with man-made rules which are always subject to change under political and social pressures? In my presentation that you will see on the website, I have given